His last run, Anthony Delpeche, was very complimentary as to how he moved. Since that run and into the gallops, done really well.
Yeah, from his last run, Anthony's giving me quite a bit of confidence as well. He says that he believes he's the best outsider in the race. He's going to be very competitive. He's really come well, Graham. He's coming peaking at the right time. I think a very competitive field. I don't think it's, to tell you July's a weak field. Once again, I tell people are going to give up the game, I think a great job by everyone and really looking forward to the race. I think it's going to be a superb day.
Well, he's drawn 5, and that's not bad either. But very quickly, a comment, because you're a student of form. You take a step back. You're able to do that and look at things objectively. As we've said along the way, and I've certainly said it as well, comparing the 3-year-olds to the old horses this year, and you're an older horse with the bottom weight, so you're obviously very well handicapped. How do you see the 3-year-olds?
I was saying to some chaps this morning that we all remember July for some reason or other. I remember when Ipitomi won the July, I was the first one who said that no ways a 3-year-old filly can carry 53.5. So I was wrong there, but that's what I remember about that July. There were times when I remember Gray's in as a 3-year-old with 51. I said, impossible. So this year I'm going to make the prediction whether I'm right or wrong, but I'll be shocked if the 3-year-old wins the July. I don't think they're strong enough. The form is just too close to each other, and the horses that they beat in the lower divisions are battling to win like B division races. So I hope, I don't want to put the kiss of death on any of the blokes with 3-year-old horses, but that's just my prediction. I think the race will be won by a bottom weight 4-year-old.
Like Wagner?
I think, I like him, but if he wasn't in the race, I would honestly have to believe that Jet Explorer is a horse to beat. I was very impressed with his Gravel 1900. As Justin just alluded to say, he turned it on at the right time. He's come right, and he's got the draw, got a top jockey. I would say that that's a horse that we'll have to beat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Soma. Jeff Woodruff. Lovely to have Jeff in town, one of the great gentlemen in the game of horse racing. Give him a nice big round of applause. Yeah, that's fine. Just face it. Jeff Woodruff, welcome to Champion Season 2013. Welcome to the Vodacom Durban July action. Do you remember? Nicely drawn, not much of her. Tell us about her.
Yeah, well, she's so small she'll probably walk underneath half this field. She's tiny. But Graham, she's got the action of a big filly, and cracky, she's got her heart. I mean, she just fights and fights. She's a super filly to train. I mean, you never sort of have to do anything to fix her. And Bernard Fade Herb has been riding her a lot at track at Clarewood. He just said she's getting better and better and better.
Now, Michael de Broglie has not been the unluckiest owner around. He's had his fair share of luck, and she's got a 5-star pedigree, being by Silvano, out of a wonderful mare. The older she gets, the better she should get, and no problems, obviously, with the trip.
I don't think there'll be any problems. Look, she ran second in the Oaks, and she was actually making good inroads on Chair on the Top that day. It was the closest we actually got to her. And I thought her Woollavington run was terrific. We had a nice draw, and it was a smallish sort of a field, and I didn't expect to win it. Certainly not on form, but it was fantastic the way she sort of stuck her little nose out and came again, So she fights, and she's very, very good that way. Michael deserves a runner in the July. He's put a fortune into the game. He breeds. I mean, it's amazing that his first July runner, he actually ended up breeding. And I bought the mother years ago for Michael, and she was good. And I think his filly's better.
Now, obviously, you're under no illusions. You know how tough the Vodacom Durban July. 20 runners at the starting gates. It's no quarter given, no quarter asked. Everybody wants an inside draw, but there is a view that perhaps if you're drawn more towards the centre, maybe that's a better. You don't want to be drawn extremely wide, but perhaps in the middle is better. And given that the fact that this filly is so small, are you concerned at all that that melee as they come out of the gates, that first 100, 200 meters? Is going to be sort of overpowering for her? How do you think you're going to play it?
You know what? She comes out running. She's got gate speed, and I always say closer to the paint is a good draw, and I'll rather take a 4 draw than a 12 draw. And I know a lot of the jocks say, oh, they want to be out in the middle, whatever. Depends what you're riding, and it depends how your horse runs. If you've got a horse that can get out well and just go up there and place, well, you want a good draw. Closer to the paint, the better. I'm not worried about that for this filly. I'm just worried about something tripping over her, that's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Woodruff. And while on the topic of Jeff, let's ask Jeff Friedman. Where's Jeff Friedman? Let's have a chat quickly with Jeff, and then Sean Terry, and then Vaughn Marshall, and then finally Jack Ramsey. Jeff Friedman, big moment, big moment. Top jockey, now in the training ranks for many years. Firstly, did you think you had a chance of getting in? Were you hopeful, more than confident? What do you think?
Hopeful, eh? Graham, his program was to try and get you, and we've got you now, eh? We got a bad draw. The horse does stay. Always had a bad draw, and he's always run a cracker race. There's not much more I can tell about him. I mean,
what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get. He's the wild one.
Let's talk about the SA Derby, because it's interesting when one goes back on the statistics and you look at all the races that feed into the Vodacom Durban July, not just the three-year-old races, all the races. The one race that stands out as having the most positive influence on the outcome of the Vodacom Durban July is, in fact, the SA Derby over 2,450 metres of turfidine. It's a tough race. You've got to see it out. We've got the winner, the runner-up, and the third horse in the SA Derby in the field. Any chance, I know you're drawn out wide, I mean, can you reasonably sort of expect to turn the tables on Wiley Hall and Gothic and in the Vodacom July?
Well, when Bernard got off the horse in the Derby, he said different draw, different result. I mean, he came from a long way back, and he was probably the only horse running on. In all his races, there's never been a horse that's passed him. He's always been running on. And a bit of luck, and he does stay, so maybe we can get there.
I know it's early. I said this to one of the other trainers a few minutes ago. You've got time to think about it. You've got time to digest the field, the draw, etc., the conditions on the day, the wind factor, and all of those sort of things that will ultimately come into play on the big day. But as we stand here now, from that draw and given his style of running, again, do you have much of an option other than to tuck him in and drop him in?
Graham, we're just going to have to see how the races run. I don't see a bit of a pacemaker in the race, but we're going to have to take our chances. Like, he's always had to take his chance when he's been drawn badly, but he's always been running on. The horse is well, and he's doing well. I just hope he can do it.
Big moment for Sean Phillips?
Big moment for Sean. He's been wishing for this all his life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Friedman and Sean Phillips sitting over there. You got a ticket, you got a chance. Sean Terry. Come on, who knows? This could determine the championship. Yes, it's what we got, 7, 11, 10. Okay, they're all on the side. Just come stand closer. Sean Terry, you know what it's all about. You walked this walk last year. You didn't do well in the draw last year, and yet you came out triumphant. This year, you've got 1 out of 4 drawn very wide, and the others not too bad. But let's kick off with Pomodoro. Won it last year from a 20 draw, gate 7, and that must be to his advantage. Stratham in top form. Preparation seems to have gone well.
Yes, I think the difference between this year and last year, had he drawn well last year, I don't think he could have used it. He was a flat horse coming out of the Derby, and you know, being drawn well and you haven't got the gate speed and you haven't got that early pace, it's not going to help you much. And it played into our hands, obviously, or into our favour, that he was able just to get there in his time, no pressure. Obviously a masterful ride. But, you know, things happen in these races, and you need a stroke of luck. I don't care if you're drawn 1 or 20. You need things to fall into place. And that's what it's about, you know. You can get excited about a draw, and you get done in the first 50 metres, and it's good night. So it's a lot of luck involved, and this year is a stronger horse. He's got a lot more gas, a lot more pace, and he can use a draw now. So I think this year it's obviously would be a lot more beneficial for him to be drawn well.
You must be absolutely delighted because the way that he's held his form over a variety of distances, winning a 1,200-metre sprint, a cracking effort, giving weight away in the 2013 J&B Met, making his presence felt over 1,600 metres. He's just held his form for a whole year. It's been quite an amazing performance by the horse.
Yes, he has, and I must say Cape Town really didn't treat us well in terms of training surfaces and having to chop and change. Not that it was Cape Town's fault, but obviously quarantine regulations didn't help us, and you know, we got there in perfect health and just went pear-shaped from there.
Let's chat about Heavy Metal. Now, this is a horse's progress I've followed with interest, because I recall, in fact, when he went down to the Guineas in Cape Town as a one-time winner. Now, when a trainer of your ilk sends a horse that's just won its maiden down to compete in the Guineas, I make a big note that this is obviously a horse to follow. But he's really flourished, and magnificent form coming into the race.
It's amazing how you stick out in the Guineas as a one-time winner, and yet half the field in the July is one-time winners. So, I mean, I always thought highly of him, and he just wasn't ready for it. He's furnished, he's matured all the time, and I think we've had 3 goes over ground. He's won 2, and his last one, which was a prep carrying 62.5, he was the fastest finisher in the race. He's by Silvano, and although I think the handicap has treated him very harshly, might just prove him right in the long run, because he's by Silvano and he's just getting better.
Now, Samanga Kumalo, what a year he's had. He won the Sansui Summer Cup for Joey Soma and Wagner. He won the 2 million rand President's Champion Challenge for your board, Heavy Metal. This would be an unbelievable treble if he was to pull it off.
Yes, it would be, but you know, he has got his work cut out for him with the weight, and but his prep has gone remarkably well, and he is getting better and better, and Siamanga certainly does get on with him.
White Line Fever, that question mark, I know you and I have chatted about this off air. I'm yet to be convinced he gets the trip, but he runs well enough every time over the trip to give you hope that he does. Your thoughts, will he get home?
You know, I think we've got to just remember 2 things, that he was one of the fastest finishers in the July last year. He found interference from the winner, otherwise he would have been clearly in the first 4. And I don't think it's really about the distance. I think the Turfentine 10 furlong grabs him because of the long straight. You know, they keep him covered, but not long enough. Unfortunately, Bernard wasn't patient both times he rode him at Turfentine. I'm hoping he'll be more patient at Greyville. And he was produced at the 500 and didn't finish. But Greyville's a different story. He doesn't have to gallop resolutely for 650 meters.
And Ejet, he's the worst drawn of the quartet out at 18, and obviously he comes into the race with pretty decent form, having won the Colorado King Stakes. His preparation seems to have gone well. You happy where you've got him?
The funny thing is, last year I had all 4 of these horses, probably in the order that they're on the board right now. And I didn't ever think there was 9 pounds between him and Pomodoro. I thought there was a lot more than 1 pound between Pomodoro and the other 2. So if I have to look at it, he's the right weight. He's carrying the right mark. He's a fit horse. He's doing very well. He's getting better and better, and I'm not concerned about the draw. He's a horse that can stay, and he can amble along out there, and he'll find a posse. He got Schofield. He knows how fast they're going, which is better than half of them, and that's going to be half the battle won.
Well, I was going to touch on that next. The decision to bring Glenn out from Australia, I mean, it's fantastic for the race. We always like to welcome back our jockeys who are riding around the world and doing so well. We've also got Greg Sheen coming out to participate in the race. But Glenn Schofield, obviously very excited to be back in the country for the big one.
Yes, and you know, I was happy to tie Glenn down. Really, before we knew what would get in and what wouldn't, I was a little confused with the jockeys. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And I didn't even confirm Pomodoro with Pierre. I just said he'll ride one for me. I'm not sure which one. And, you know, it started falling into place. And when he asked for the ride, I said, well, just falling into place now. It secures the 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Terry. And now the last of the trainers before we get to Jack Ramsey, Vaughn Marshall. Vaughn, it's been an unbelievable, not just the champion season, it's been an unbelievable year all round, but you've stepped out some real quality this season amongst the 2-year-olds and so on. But now it's time to focus on the Vodacom Durban July. And you've got 2 horses, which perhaps the betting in respect of the one doesn't do him justice, because I think they're both live wires. But let's talk about Hill 54 first. And how he's come on and along since, of course, his fantastic second in the JMB Met.
Yeah, Graham, you know, he's a horse that hasn't been blessed with the best draws throughout his career. If you look at his past form in the Met and the race in Port Elizabeth and the race leading up to the Met. He was always drawn on the outside.